Thank you again for taking some time to be here with us today. I am just going to shortly introduce myself. My name is Shelby Jobin. I'm the Director of Communications here at the Arizona Medical Association, which is the largest physician-led organization here in the state. And a big part of what we do is work with our physicians in training here in the state, and that includes our medical student section. And so we have two wonderful representatives, Ariana Cano and Anna Leah Eisner, who are two of our medical student section governing council members.
Hi, Dean Wondisford. My name's Ariana Cano, and I'm a second year medical student, soon entering into third year. And I am a part of member through the medical student section. I am the UA-COMP student delegate, as well as the communications committee representative.
All right, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm Anna Leah Eisner. I'm also a medical student at UA-COMP, second year as well. And I'm also on the ARMA Governing Council. I am one of the policy vice chairs.
Also nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
And thank you for meeting with us. We're really excited to get the interview started. Before starting, we wanted to let you know that the topics of for this interview were driven by interest and submission from UA-COMP students, faculty, and staff. So we know they'll really be looking forward to hearing this interview.
Sure, great.
All right, so let's get started with the questions. So we are excited for our medical community to have the chance to get to know you. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you who have may not have met you yet, could you share some highlights from your academic medical journey so far?
Sure, be glad to. So as you've met me or maybe heard me speak at our campus, you can feel free to call me Fred during this interview. I know it's maybe a little bit off-putting, but that way we can at least try to learn more about each other. So I have had a pretty traditional academic journey with a lot of stops. I've been at a lot of institutions and had progressive leadership responsibilities at those institutions. And when I've took this job as dean, I had previously been chair and then an institute director and a division chief and a faculty member, and a number of different academic medical centers. And that's actually helped me prepare me well for this job, because I think I've done a lot of the tasks that our faculty are doing. And obviously I was a student and did teaching. So, but more specifically, I would just tell you my journey really starts with where I come from. So I come from Northeast Ohio, in a little small town. Well, it wasn't so small when I was there, but it became small. It was a steel town, Youngstown, Ohio. I actually grew up behind the steel mills. My interest in medicine came from my uncle, who was a family physician who took me around on pro bono rounds to take care of the community. My interest in teaching comes from my mother. She was a award-winning second grade school teacher, and taught me a lot about how to teach, and told me early on that I wasn't a very good teacher. So sort of understood humility and learning how to teach. It's a hard skill to acquire, to keep people interested in what you're teaching and actually at the same time be coherent in delivering the content. My interest in science comes from my father. Was a mechanical engineer, and everybody on his side of the family are engineers. So I have a problem-solving aspect to my personality, and sort of an interest in knowing how things work. And I suppose, importantly for a dean, fixing things.
Now, while we're here to focus on your professional role as dean for the University of Arizona College of Medicine, Phoenix, we're also curious about your life outside of work, which you shared some of it, so thank you. We want to know, what is something you've done in your personal life that you are most proud of?
That's actually a pretty easy question for me. I'm most proud of my daughters. So I have two daughters. They're both in medicine. So first of all, my family, my nuclear family, we're all in medicine. So my wife is a physician scientist. My older daughter is a stroke neurologist. My younger daughter is an MD PhD student. They're both at the University of Pittsburgh, which is good because when we go to visit, we can see them both. And what's nice about it, and Sally, that's my wife, and I talk about, is that we certainly didn't shelter them from conversations about work or what we do or the pressures, and somehow they still chose medicine. So I think whatever environment we supplied for them, we didn't turn them off from medicine. And I think they both love medicine, as we do.
That's pretty impressive. It's really nice to have family members that you can speak to about what you're currently doing and like understand. So we're going to talk about your UACompT is one of the few medical schools, public medical schools in Arizona. It's also one of the medical schools making headlines for its plans to grow, with the school expecting to double its attendance in the coming years. How does the school plan to accommodate more medical students, and does the college plan to host more in-state students?
Sure, it's a important question and probably gets at the core of why I came here. Because what I saw here as a school is a school that is going to grow and grow significantly with the resources available to do so. Now, with respect to the students, we're planning for the new incoming class to add 10 students. So we're going to go from a census of 120 to 130. Obviously, our building was not really built for many more students than that. And yet the Arizona Board of Regents has requested that our medical school, as well as Tucson, double the class. So that would take us to 240 and 240, right? That'll be a difficult task within our building. And needs some planning. And of course, the funding for that will have to be established. But it will be important for our school to grow because there is a shortage of physicians overall in Arizona. But I would also say there's a maldistribution of physicians in Arizona like the rest of the country. So some of our rural areas, those are really not well served. There's very few physicians. So one more thing I'll tell you is our expansion is going to be tied to primary care and rural health. So we're going to try to come up with some novel ways to encourage people to enter primary care and rural health. We might get a chance to talk about those in a bit.
How can the school help or encourage medical students to stay in Arizona to practice medicine once their education is complete? So to that point, how can we help?
One of the things that we're going to plan, not for this year, but for the following year, assuming we receive final LCME approval, is to have the medical school basically flow into a residency. So we are planning a 3-year curriculum for not this year, but starting next year. And that 3-year curriculum would have linkage to primary care residencies within the state. And I would say that if we get bright students that enter and they're here for 6 years, I mean, we've done pretty much all we can do to encourage people to go into primary care. Of course, people are going to make choices. Maybe they don't really want to do primary care after they learn more about medicine, or maybe they don't really want to do a 3-year curriculum, and which there'll be off ramps to be able to do that. So that's one way to encourage people to stay, is to train them in the location, because many people do like to stay where they train. The other way is we're going to try to improve our scholarship offerings to try to get the best students to stay, and particularly the Arizona students to stay, because we have you're a testament to the quality of our students, which is very high. But I think that we will be able to attract more in-state students if we can offer them some more scholarships.
And with the expansion of medical schools in Arizona, It seems one of the largest threats to medical education will be the growing number of medical students who are competing for clinical rotations in a finite number of academic medical centers. Private, osteopathic, and international medical schools historically offer payment for student clinical rotations, frequently edging out the public allopathic student presence. How do you plan to approach clinical rotation scarcity and competition to ensure the growing number of UA CompP students are able to have a robust clinical education?
Right. Another really important question. So let's just start about the philosophy. First of all, it's better to collaborate than compete. So we would actually like to collaborate in our clinical sites with other schools that might be entering Arizona or here. We, of course, are the only homegrown mature medical school allopathic in Phoenix. There are several from out of the state. There are several that are planned to be developed. But if you know our history, it's just very typical of a school. It takes a long time to go from an idea to actually graduating students, and even longer in some ways to get full accreditation for the school. So that's a 7 to 10 year process. What I would say is we've developed within our own school a focus area of one of our vice deans, Cheryl O'Malley, just on GME. And GME and UME are important partners. So we can't really do UME or undergraduate medical education without graduate medical education, because in a sense, those sites are where the students train. And I would also argue that GME is enriched by having the UME associated with it. So we are actively working with our partners. And as you know, we have many partners for the clinical sites to stabilize them, grow them, and more importantly, to look for new sites for clinical training, either to the north, to the south, rural, FQHCs, many options to try to increase our the number of sites. But yes, that's a concern, and I think it's a concern to have new medical schools starting in our state for that reason alone.
What are your plans for recruiting and maintaining top-notch educators, especially as our student population grows?
So personal bias, the best educators are people that are actually doing what they're educating about. So I think the best educators for clinical medicine are active clinicians. I think the best educators for basic science are people that are doing basic science. And I think that where those two meet are around translational problems in medicine. So being able to take a observation from the lab and move it to the bedside and move it further to the community, those are really what defines the power of a medical school. So many of our excellent teachers are already here. Our job is to give them the time, but also give them the structure and the equipment to be able to educate better. We are blessed here to have a wonderful sim center. I can just tell you it's nothing like I saw at any place I've been. And also the simulation with doctoring and the actual one-on-one discussion with the students and is really second to none. So we've got all the pieces here for great education. That's why, in fact, our students really end up being excellent based on what the residency directors tell us and about our students vis-a-vis others that they're compared against.
So we've started talking about solutions starting in medical school, and that's what the next set of questions are focused on as well. So looking to the future, the next generation of physicians will be responsible for addressing some of healthcare's largest issues. How is UA CompP preparing its students to support Arizonans' healthcare needs?
Yeah, that I've only been here 4 months, so I will have to say that I don't know as much about this topic as I probably should to be able to give you the best answer. But I would say the best way to support the needs of the population in Arizona is experiences. So I've always been struck by when a student is out in the community and has a unique experience or has a unique opportunity, that really inspires them. So we could think about at our school like street medicine, for example. That's an example of something where it's pretty unique. It isn't in a sense unique to any metropolitan city that there are people on the streets that need medicine and need help. But that experience is important. And then the other experience that we hope to give the students is a much more integrated experience in the community. So one of the main pillars of any school is community engagement or service. And so we're hoping to develop a community clinic nearby that might also be an FQHC, that would be a training venue, that would also allow the community to interact with us and get care there. So I came from Rutgers that had the largest FQHC in the state of New Jersey and had extensive medical students presence there. They had residents there. They had it was multi-specialty, all primary care specialties, but all multi-specialty. So I think it can be done. And I also think it might help our students have a broader perspective.
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds like a really great idea. I know a lot of students participate at the Wesley Health Center, which is a bit south of the school. So having one even closer to the school, I think would draw even more students to participate in that setting. Now, a key to mitigating social drivers of health is cultivating a diverse physician workforce, which starts with medical education. To this end, how will UA-Comp support diversity and students who are underrepresented in medicine during your tenure?
Again, a really important question. Actually, this group of questions are overall, they're right centered on many of the problems. I think our challenge at ComP is probably diversity in terms of what's around us in the state of Arizona. So the Hispanic population, African American population, and Native American population. We've had some success in increasing diversity in the school. I think we have some work to do on that. I think we will be able to have a even more diverse medical student class if we can offer financial help to incoming students. So we have, as you know, we have a lot of students that apply to our school, and we tend to lose students, those particularly minority students, to other institutions that offer them full scholarships. And as you pointed out, we're a public institution. We don't pay for things that private institutions do pay for. We have a little less access to funds. I'm convinced that if we were able to match up our scholarships with the competition around here, the students would choose our college, but we're under a disadvantage that way. So more scholarships. And then I think also what's helpful is to give somebody a pathway to primary care that's shorter, compact, and direct. And I think that would be another way we could improve diversity by maybe not making every physician be exactly the same as the next physician, which has been a tenet of medical education. Everybody gets the same experience and then chooses this 3-year curriculum, which is actually starting in Tucson also, would give us that way to differentiate and maybe attract a more diverse pool of students.
As members of the Arizona Medical Association's medical student section, we're partial to and highly involved in organized medicine, which is critical to the medical profession. Also critical is healthcare legislation, which is largely swayed by politics, both local and federal. how might students be able to learn about organized medicine and politics through their medical education at UA-Comp?
Yeah, well, it probably starts a little bit with this interview, I guess. And maybe students know that you're representatives and you have functions. Again, I don't know because I don't know enough yet, but I think what you bring back to the classroom is the possibility of being more involved in organized medicine. And maybe we should have a seminar series, and maybe we should have some on-site things, and maybe we already do. I'd probably be looking to you to help us maybe enrich our curriculum so people understand what's possible to do as a second-year medical student. I wouldn't even have thought you could do this as a second-year medical student. So that's news to me.
Those are all good ideas. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, we do have some things on our shoulders, me and Ariana, for sure. By participating in ARMA, I think that people can look to us for the future as well. Speaking of looking to the future, the last set of questions just regard looking towards the future and what you're hoping to accomplish. So according to some, Arizona is one of the final frontiers for academic medicine, but things are certainly changing quickly. In addition to doubling its student population, UA-Comp has partnered with Banner Health to develop hundreds of new residency and fellowship positions. Over the next decade, how do you anticipate this momentum to build in terms of growth, community outreach, and academic development?
Yeah, so this is what's exciting about this position for me. And you, of course, know about everybody talks about the three missions of a school of medicine: the clinical mission, the research mission, the teaching mission. Quite honestly, the fourth mission is community engagement and service, right? And what makes a great school of medicine is that those missions are not siloed as clinical research, teaching, and community service, but they are woven together such that clinical isn't really divorced from research or teaching or community service, and all of them that way. So our challenge is to build the school to have four strong pillars of activity, all of which to support each other, i.e. they're all supporting the building. They're all supporting what's great about our school. And to do that, we have to develop our clinical activities in partnership with Banner primarily, but also with our other partners, Phoenix Children's, Honor Health, St. Joe's, the VA, and then more distant Yuma, Regional Medical Center, and others, perhaps in Casa Grande. Then research, we just need many more researchers here than we have. And that will allow us to have a core from which we can build translational science. And our education, quite honestly, is great. I think we could be even better with some economies of scale and more efficient. And again, that speaks to this question before about how will we expand our class size. And we'll do that by becoming more efficient in the way we deliver education. But what I like most about our educational program, I must say, is its level of personal attention. And I wouldn't want to give that up in a more, volume-driven, let's educate a lot of students, because we want to give students quality education first and foremost. And then again, we've talked a little bit about community service. So this is about developing the school to have these synergies and growing the school in that way. And so again, that's my task. It's not going to be easy, but it is doable with the resources and the people that are here.
Yeah, thank you. In terms of community service or being involved in the community, how might more community health centers and federally qualified health center clinics be engaged in both UME and GME to address the needs of vulnerable populations in Arizona?
Yeah, that's an area where the connection between the Federal Qualified Health Center and a health system, I would say, is underdeveloped in Arizona in comparison to the East Coast. That is a normal event on the East Coast for many of the medical centers. Maybe because they're a little bit more mature in their relationship, but so we can provide care to everybody. The FQHC is a wonderful vehicle to provide care to the underserved, uninsured, homeless, people that are on the margins of society, and they have to be integrated with how we deliver medical care, or we're not actually taking care of everybody. We're taking care of only a select few. So that will be part of, we're going to try it with our community clinic. We're going to try to actually partner with Wesley. It's now down to finances, whether we can make it work. The previous dean, Guy Reed, really spearheaded the idea of getting our school established with a community health center. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that.
And so we've come to our last set of questions here. And so when you come to your end of your tenure as dean, what are your top 3 goals you hope to say you've achieved? And what professional achievement would you be most proud to accomplish?
Okay, so the most, I would say from my perspective, I'm what's called I hope I'm a servant leader. So my job is to serve the school. And that is, if the school is successful, I'll feel that I was successful. And how will the school be successful? Well, it goes back to the missions. So the clinical mission, how integrated will we become with our main healthcare partner, which is Banner? You mentioned the residencies. That's one way. We also have clinical departments that are situated in Banner. So clinical integration and real development of academic clinical departments would be one measure of success. And that may be through small things like figuring out a way to get transportation back and forth to Banner, or making sure people know that we have a University of Arizona Medical School here, those kind of things. But clinical integration with an already healthy health system. The second thing is building in our school research capacity. So we're going to have very soon next to us a CAMI, which is a immunotherapeutic institute. That's its goal around cancer immunotherapies, autoimmunity, basically the immune system, modulating the immune system to try to treat disease or prevent disease. We want to build the capacity here to be a good partner with that institute, because that institute's going to be us, and those faculty are going to be on our faculty. So research cores that would benefit both, we'd like to do. They're going to be right here next to us. Maybe they'll actually bring in a really good cafeteria for us. Who knows? So they say. Anyway, it's going to look like it's going to be a beautiful building, but more importantly, it's going to be focused on research. We want to capitalize on that. And the last thing is the community. Now, beyond community service, I would hope as an achievement that we would raise the recognition of our school, not just within the city, but within the state and perhaps in the region, as a high quality academic medical center. And that's not a year project. That's 5 to 10 years. But as long as we're on the right trajectory, I'll be happy.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, and thank you so much for your thoughtful responses to our questions. And that concludes our interview. We really appreciate your time, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.